So on the inside, I'm a strong, independent, gun-toting, leather-wearing, people-loving, liberal woman at heart, and that's just that.
Yay! Celebrate her. Celebrate her every day.
It's Pride season. I was just a touch too young to know what was happening when it was happening, and my mom didn't really care about it all that much, and seemed uh, she wasn't so like active in like politics at the time, and so we just kept the windows down and kept singing. I just said singing. Cowboy, Take Me Away, which you mentioned earlier. Isn't that such a that one like does something to my womb? That I'm
It
just
does
like,
something to everyone's womb.
it's like, it not only creates a womb, but it warms the womb.
Ugh.
Say that shit.
Woof.
Wait, what? Cheers.
I'm fucking mature.
Hi everyone, welcome back to another episode of Amateur Intellectuals. My name is Kendall, and I'm here with my co-host, Caitlin.
Hello.
Hey, honey. Sorry we're a little close this morning, or evening, or whenever you're listening. I've got the camera on a tree stump, and we're just going to be this close, and you can probably see all my pores and all my dirt, but this is me being vulnerable, Brene Brown.
You can see all his secrets.
Yes. If you can see behind me, my face might be too big, because we're that close, literally. But I am in an aspen forest, 10,000 feet up in the Dixie National Forest in Utah right now. It is absolutely stunning. You go down from this mountain, and it's like Bryce Canyon and Zion. I did both of those last week. Absolutely insane. Desert. It's just glorious. It's just glorious is the perfect word. Go if you can. Go if you can't. Go. Just fucking go. It's insane.
That sounds so beautiful. How's the weather there?
Right now, okay, so like down from the mountain, it's already like in the 90s. But where I'm right now, I would say it's like 65.
Ooh.
It's brisk.
That's balmy for me. I like it.
Yeah, I'm into it. I'm very excited about it. Everyone in the rest of the state is suffering, most likely because of their faith. Did you know that Mormons can't drink, smoke? It's 4 things. It's like drink, smoke. 4 things that I like to do. Cuss, wear cotton. Something like that.
Oh. I mean, I knew that they can't drink and I know they can't smoke. No, I can't do. I mean, that's not for me. I don't feel like God shone a light on me when He was picking that religion as a thing, or you,
or me. There's just absolutely.
He was like you. Skip Kendall. You. Skip Caitlin.
You're not gonna make it.
You're not gonna make it. You're not gonna be one of those chosen.
No.
Get out of this temple. We have no drinks here. Leave.
I'm hungover, Lord. I am hungover. I'm like so interested in it. I like want to know so much more about it. I was named after my dad's best friend. I was named after is Mormon, and yeah, and so I'm like, I'm Mormon adjacent by proxy. Will somebody please tell me? Like, I just want the scoop, you know?
I think I knew a Mormon once. That's how close I am. But remember, like, I grew up in a very Christian area. Like, I met my first Jew when I was in college. And I think I told you, I asked so many questions on behalf of her people. And she was like, please don't make me a token. I'm like, I'm not. I just have questions because nobody taught me anything.
Exactly. So you believe in God, but not Jesus. Okay.
Start from the beginning. Tell me everything you've ever learned about your faith. But you're kind of saying you want to do the same thing with the Mormons. So
exactly.
I applaud you, and I think you should, because you are fighting ignorance every day.
Trying, right?
Yeah.
I think
I want to know more. Tell me about it.
Yeah.
Tell me about it.
Because Zion is like, biblically, Zion is where God lived in Jerusalem, Mount Zion. And then here, they believe that the Garden of Eden was here. And so I'm like, do they just compute Zion with this Zion? They renamed it. It was some long native name Chakabojaj. I mean, that's probably shouldn't do that, but it was this long name, and they changed it to Zion because they wanted to attract visitors, and the Mormon leadership believed it was something about bountiful resource, something other.
Yeah, that's familiar to me. Yeah. And also, I think Jesus, like, took a hard left. That's what Stephen Colbert said on his ascension into heaven. He took a hard left and came to America on the way up. And then Joseph Smith was the one who said he had tablets.
That's right.
And then he was like, but I buried them and you can't see them. And people were like, yeah, we're totally on board. We want to follow you. Like, can we see too? Like, that sounds amazing. Like, we're on board. You told us, stop digging. You hit gold. Like, we've got it.
Where
and
is
then
that?
he was like, no, you can't see them. You cannot see them.
Oh my.
And also I will have 100 wives, but just kidding. We make fun of all religions equally. Here. We respect all religions.
Absolutely.
And therefore don't respect all religions equally. Right. So don't think that we're picking on you Mormons.
We're not.
Mm-mm. Just pick a day. We'll make fun of another one.
That's right.
But anyway, that is good. You should learn more about it because it is interesting.
Totally interesting. And there's a shit ton here. It's like, oh, I just forgot the numbers, but it's insane. It's like Salt Lake City's like 43%, something like that. And then the rest of the state's like 80% Mormon. It's like hugely one.
I knew Utah was highly Mormon, but I didn't think they were that like dominant in the population. So that's interesting.
And like you can spot them. Like, kind of like
that's okay. they just stand out by the braids and the Target dresses that they wear. The women, anyway.
Yeah. Okay, so let me get my notes back up. Here they are. So I'm doing, because the thing's on a stump, so I'm like looking at the camera and the microphone, and then I'm also looking to my left to look at my notes. It's on my knee. So if this is a different format than usual, just bear with me because the stump is only so big. Okay, today we're going to be talking about something that I am thrilled to talk about. And that is the Chicks. My all-time fave. Nostalgia, mostly. But, like, love them. And we're going to get into how this came to the front of the mind. But first, the question. What a weird way to say question. The question. And I wrote, and this is loaded, and boy, do I mean that shit. Who is your favorite 3-person harmony bluegrass country top-selling all-female artist group from the Nielsen SoundScan era?
Oh, damn. Destiny's Child.
And then I wrote, you're goddamn right, it's the Chicks. So you got me beat on that one.
Yeah, of course it's the Chicks. Cowboy, take me away.
Yeah, Lord. Okay, serious question. Are you a country music girl? Do you dabble? Who do you love? Who could you go without?
Yeah, good. I dabble. My sister got me into it because it wasn't very big in my area, like, broadly. So, like, we weren't exposed to it too much. But my sister got me kind of into it. I really like Garth Brooks. I really like the Dixie Chicks. So I'm very fundamentalist. Like, I like the very mainstreamy ones because I'm not super informed about a lot of the more abstract ones. Like Brad Paisley.
Mm-hmm. Jason Aldean.
I don't know. Yeah, what's that young one? Ooh, like George Ezra. The one that looks like a child. Is he a country singer?
Is
or
he?
Pop? Ooh, he sings like a man, but he looks like a boy. I do not know what my feelings are feeling.
Yeah, I think I know who you're talking about.
But yeah, anyway, so I only know, like, I have a preschool education about country music, but I like what I know. And the Dixie Chicks was one of the albums that I bought when I was little, like, saving up allowance to buy a CD. And their album was one of them, the Chicks. So
the Chicks,
I don't know. Tell me, where do you stand on it? You came from Texas, honey, so I have a feeling that you have a better understanding of country folk music.
I don't like it. So I I talk about this later in the episode, but my mom, we listened to Shania Twain, the Dixie Chicks, and Stacey Orico, and that was it. And I don't know. I'm the same way about. I feel very similarly about Shania and the Chicks. I'm like, that's peak perfect. If I have one concert to go to in my life, it's one of those. And flip a coin. I actually don't think flip a coin. I think I would go to the Chicks concert. But
Yeah.
I kind of
I like
grew
Shania
up.
Twain too. That's a good one too.
Oh yeah. I like my dad listened to Toby Keith kind of as a joke. I love Toby Keith. George Jones, my grandfather had in the cars. I listened to a lot of him, but I never did the superstars. I never did George Strait, Garth Brooks, Kenny Chesney.
Oh yeah, Kenny Chesney's another one. Yeah.
Somebody could school me on all of that shit and be like, well, no, Kenny Chesney's actually this, and I wouldn't know the fucking difference. I'd be like, okay.
Sure.
So no expert in country music am I, but as you will come to learn if you listen to this episode, the Dixie Chicks I'm going to do that the whole time, and I'm going to stop apologizing right
It's
now.
okay. Like P. Diddy, Puff Daddy, Snoop Dogg, Snoop Lion, Dixie Chicks. Except in their case, they're the only ones that actually did it for like decent reason.
For the right
wasn't,
reason.
self-centered.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So I'm like, I really should get it down, but just give me like another year and I'll have it. I lost my train of thought. Something about something. Anyway, let's go. The drink of the episode. I kind of made this one up just because of like what I have. And I just for the first time had a twisted tea. Have you ever had one of those?
You're on a tea kick though, and I like it. It's very summery.
Oh shit! Yeah, it is. It's because it's summery.
No, it's good.
Because it's already 90 degrees around here.
Nobody wants red wine or whatever in the middle of 90 degrees.
God, next to a creek.
Even me.
It's so good. So good. If you next time you're at the store, grab one. And then, because it's like 3% alcohol or what. I think it's actually close to like 6. But we have so many peach schnapps laying around from season 1 that I was like, if you put this peach schnapps in this twisted tea, I bet you it's the shit. So
it's like a peach tea. It's like a peach iced tea.
Exactly. Doesn't that sound lovely?
Yum.
Lovely.
Actually, that does. That sounds really good.
So, if you want a glass, get a glass. If you want some ice, get some ice. Empty that bitch and put a 1 ouncer of peach schnapps. Just one. There's already booze in it. You don't need more than that. Just 1 ounce of peach schnapps, and let's get this bitch rolling. Okay, so the Chicks. It's funny to me that here we are in 2021, and the Chicks have made some slight changes, mostly in the nomenclature. And finally, after literally 14 years of deafening silence, and like kind of in the same time that Rihanna wasn't making music. Now Rihanna did, like in the last 14 years, obviously she has, but like Rihanna's going through this big stretch of not making music, and the Chicks went through 14 years. And what the fuck have we been doing for the last 14 years? I guess listening to podcasts.
Yeah, a good point. Yeah, that's part of it. And you never know. I mean, some of those bands just get in fights or whatever, and then they're like, wait a minute, we forgot that we were making millions of dollars. Maybe we should get back together. Matchbox 20 was like that, too, where they went away for a really long time, and I really liked Matchbox 20, and then all of a sudden it was like, oh, hello. Hi.
We're back.
Where have you been? I'm an adult now. You missed out on my childhood.
I'm trying to think. I know that there's kind of similar beef with Fleetwood, but they like tried to get back together and then they just couldn't because of the weird Stevie and what's his name? Leslie, the guitar player? They had some weird like love thing and they were trying to make it work again and then it just didn't. Yeah, but interestingly, from what I put together, the Dixie Chicks never broke up. And it doesn't seem like there was very much turmoil for the 14 years. They were just kind of on a little hiatus.
Maybe having children and families and stuff, too. I mean...
and death threats.
Because they're women. Maybe, how do you balance it all? I don't. I take my money to the bank, and then I go and have a family, and then when I'm good and ready, I come back.
Right. When the kids can watch themselves, I'll go make money again. Mommy's going to go away now.
That's right.
So, it's particularly funny to me. I was just at a new friend's house. You wouldn't believe this, Caitlin. I made a new friend, and she's a Republican. Oh my God. And I
How
know.
did that happen? Isolation. You miss people, obviously.
Yeah, you can say the craziest shit now, and I'll just be like, wow, I agree with you.
Tell me about more of that.
I walked in and there was a painting. There was a painting above the dining room table of Ronald Reagan, H.W.W., Lincoln, and somebody else all sitting around a poker card game. And it was like above the dining room. And I'm just like, oh, fuck. Oh, and Trump was in it too.
Okay.
No, he wasn't.
Okay. I have asked for that exact picture, but Trump is in it for Christmas as a puzzle because there's a puzzle of it. Because I want it ironically. It's all the Republicans.
It's all the Republicans
sitting around together playing poker or
Yes.
whatever. And I was like,
You've
I
seen
need
it.
this in my life. Yeah.
Oh.
Right next to Jesus riding a unicorn. I need both absurdities in my life.
Because I have balance somewhere in there. There's normal. Yeah. Yeah, I don't, circumstance. It was circumstantial, but then I, like, really grew to, like, I have a fondness for her, and, I mean, she can think I'm as crazy as I think that she is, and that's just fine with me, and,
Yeah.
anyway, we were talking about the chicks. We were talking about, you know, you just, like, pop up in it. How do you feel about, Judge Janine? How do you feel about Meghan McCain? How do you feel about, you just throw names at her. I love them. I hate them. The fucking bitch. The fucking, you know, all that. So, the chicks came up. And it's 2021. And she still has beef with the chicks. And I'm like, that was fucking a long, long, long time ago. And like, do you even know what happened? I don't know what happened. So, what happened? And she tells me, just shit-faced. I loved it so. I mean, I was shit-faced too. She was like, well, they went to London and they disrespected Bush, and I just think that's so un-American, unpatriotic. I hate it. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna do some of my own. I'm digging on that, and then I'll get back to you. So here the fuck we are.
Meanwhile, when you criticize Obama or Biden, it's just not unpatriotic.
Literally.
But it's fine. Listen, we pick on Republicans a lot on this podcast, but Kendall is doing exactly what we preach here, is like, get to know people who are not you, talk to them and have conversations. We do endorse this. We just will be snarky about it. But that is just who we are with everyone, as I said.
Yeah.
So anyway, disclaimer over.
Yeah. And if you heard, like, if I were to get on a mic and talk about my political views, like, you would think that I was just as extreme as she is on the other side. And, like, that's fine. Get on my...
It is fine.
Mention me on Twitter and, like, blow my ass up. That's fine. I don't have service most of the time. So, fuck it.
Yep. Let's break bread and argue with each other about stuff.
Yes.
But in, like, a loving way.
But, like, in a fun way. Right, exactly.
Yeah,
Let's have
exactly.
a good time.
I love it.
Okay, so I said that earlier. My mother raised me on the chick, Shania Twain, Stacey Rico. So on the inside, I'm a strong, independent, gun-toting, leather-wearing, people-loving, liberal woman at heart, and that's just that.
Oh, yay! Celebrate her. Celebrate her every day.
It's Pride season. I was just a touch too young to know what was happening when it was happening, and my mom didn't really care about it all that much, and seemed she wasn't so like active in like politics at the time, and so we just kept the windows down and kept singing. I just said singing. Cowboy, Take Me Away, which you mentioned earlier. Isn't that such a that one like does something to my womb? That I'm
It
just
does
like
something to everyone's womb.
like, it not only creates a womb, but it warms the womb.
Yep. Keeps it nice and warm. Hugs it. Loves it.
Okay, so we're going to get into some history for some context, and that's going to be the bulk of this episode, because after I did that, I was like, fast facts on the chicks, and it's like everything that I mentioned in this. So,
Mhm.
This is about 7 paragraphs ish, and I think that there's some interesting stuff in here. So let's do it. The Dixie Chicks started with 2 sisters in 1989 in Dallas. The Irwin sisters, who are still in the band, and 2 others who are not, started a bluegrass and country group. So the 2 behind Natalie, so you have Natalie, who's the singer, the main singer, and then the 2 behind her, or next to her, wherever, are sisters. I didn't do that. I didn't know that.
They look a lot alike,
They look
the
a
two.
lot alike. Yes.
Yeah.
And they've like, I think that they've been married and remarried, so like they've gone through 2 names each, so it's like 4 names, 4 last names between the 2 of them. So I'm just gonna say one of them is McGuire, one of Natalie Maines is the main one,
Hmm.
and then I don't even think I talk about the other one. The other one must be quiet. She ain't got no quotes and no interviews or nothing. So it's McGuire, which is an Irwin sister, and Maines, who is Maine. That's easy to
Yeah.
remember.
She looks like Busy Phillips a little bit, the lead singer does.
Okay.
Do you know who Busy Phillips is, that actress?
I do, and I can't place a face, but I know what Natalie looks like, so I'm just picturing Natalie.
Oh, okay,
Um,
okay.
Busy Phillips. We did this before, and I looked her up. About somebody else, I think.
Mm.
I'm pretty sure that's in an episode, because you were like,
She's on like Cougar Town. I don't watch Cougar Town, but she's on Cougar Town. She was on Dawson's Creek before this. She's been in movies and stuff. She's pretty funny. Anyway, doesn't matter. It's not her, so it doesn't matter.
we can't know that for sure.
Yeah, maybe they're never in the same room at the same time.
Okay, so when the lead singer was replaced twice, the group finally found commercial success when Natalie Maines became the lead in 1998, when There's Your
Mm.
Trouble and Wide Open Spaces debuted. Within the next year, Sony came to Austin to sign them, and in 1998, the Dixie Chicks sold more albums than all other country groups combined. I knew they were popular. I didn't know they were this fucking popular.
I remember in the early 2000s it being a big fucking deal.
It was
I mean,
huge.
there was Dixie Chicks, there was Hanson, like big deal, and everybody was buying like their album. I can still picture it. I'm 34 years old and I can still picture it. It's the 3 girls walking
Uh-huh.
like in profile, and they're walking like together in jeans, and like that was their first album. It was like the Dixie Chicks album, but I mean everybody was doing it, everybody was buying it, and so I mean, man, they had a ton of high school fans. And then I'm sure the mainstream, like you'll probably get to this, but I feel like then, because it was country #1, but some of the stuff they were singing about, kind of folksy, led itself to like a very right-wing conservative fan base.
Right.
But I think they kept some liberal ones too, for sure, because they were too big to just be conservative following, you know.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They were. Well, I don't want to. I'm going to bury my lead if I do that.
Mhm.
Yeah, we're going to get into that. So, in 1999, the group released Fly. And this is the album with Cowboy Take Me Away, Sin Wagon, and
Oh, that's the
Goodbye
one.
Earl.
Yeah, also a good movie or good song about murder. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So that's funny you mentioned that. So by this time, the group had solidified national attention, no longer wearing the country garment gear of the band of the past, wearing a more contemporary clothing style, and writing or co-writing more than half of their songs. And an interesting tidbit here, their controversial lyrics in Sin Wagon, which mention mattress dancing, and Goodbye Earl, a black comedy about killing an abusive husband, were worrisome content for their producer Sony, and they didn't want them to talk about it in interviews. And later in an interview, Maine said that they were more comfortable. Sony was more comfortable with them making jokes about the murder song than the mattress dancing song, which is, I think, like a good sign of the times. Like you can understand, like it takes you back. This was to 1999. You know, this is 1998,
Yeah.
so like culturally we were in a different place. You know, Miley Cyrus, Can't Stop, Won't Stop hadn't happened yet. Robin Thicke hadn't happened yet.
I have thoughts on this because 1991, I just looked it up as soon as you said it. Garth Brooks released Papa Loved Mama, which is about a domestic abuse / murder song
Oh.
with kids involved from the kids' perspective about Papa loved Mama, Mama loved men.
Oof.
And then he murders her. And that was okay. That was acceptable to release in 1991. But the women singers can't sing about murder. Well, you said that they started in 1998 when, as one, like the group that they are now. So we're talking 7 to 10 years after that it's okay for a man to sing about murder, but women can't.
But three
and
women
even
can't.
Worse, women talking about sex,
Right.
singing about sex. They were singing men's songs. I mean, they were singing men's tones. Like, you know what I mean? Picking narratives that men country singers sang.
Right.
And the public or the producers were getting nervous about it. Shut up. Shut up.
Shut
men.
the hell up.
Shut up, all you straight men. Shut up.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's, I hope by the end of this episode, I've revealed a pattern of defiance and protest. Like they're very, it's very much in their culture to do exactly what you're saying. To see that and be like, well, we're going to do the same thing and you can shit on bricks. I don't care.
Yeah, watch our people buy it. Watch all of our fans buy it.
Literally. And then there's this huge in the incident where people don't. And so it's like this weird, and we're going to get into that, how that, in my opinion, was the first example of contemporary cancel culture. And guess who fucking invented it? It was the fucking conservative fans. So Fox News can go eat a dick.
Yeah.
But if you're Republican and you're listening, we have space for you.
We love you and respect you. We're just playing, but also, like, we're not wrong. But listen, we love you, too. You love us, we love you. Yeah, no, interesting point. Okay, you've got me. I'm captivated.
Okay.
I am very interested in this.
Well, here we go. Next page. Around 2000. So all of this is in the span of 2 years, mind you. And I didn't really do a good job. So the two sisters started a band with the lead singer in like 1990. And it was the Dixie Chicks. And it was like super country, super folksy, super not working. So then they replaced that singer with somebody else. And then same thing happened there. And then Maines comes along. So they had existed for like 8 years. But then when Natalie comes along, who was the daughter of some like famous guitar player, McGuire.
Ooh.
I can't remember his name. I should have wrote it down, but I didn't. When she steps on the stage, then it's like almost immediately. 1998, there's Wide Open Spaces. And then in 1999, there's Fly. And so they just go from nothing to massive in 2 years. In 2000, the Chicks filed an accounting fraud lawsuit against Sony, claiming they had kept $4 million from them, and joined the ranks of Leanne Rimes, Courtney Love, and Amy Mann in suing Sony.
Get it.
Yes.
If they're stealing from them, get it.
Get your fucking money.
Get your money.
They settled privately and got their own label under Sony shortly thereafter. In 2002, the Chicks were back in Texas, married and planning families, and they independently produced Home, a more pensive and ballad-packed album that fell somewhat short of their other hit albums, but still claiming a Billboard Top Charts #2 for Long Time Gone. A song on the way that country radio was leaving out the soulful voices of Hank Williams, Johnny Cash, and Merle Haggard.
Okay.
So
they were trying something on.
Yeah.
You know, getting a little more contemplative, thinking about stuff.
Right. And like they were already slowing down. Yeah. So Wide Open Spaces 1998, 1990's Fly, and then a couple years later, I think like 2002 is Home. And so they've just seen massive success. And then Home was a little bit less, but still massive. And then here we come up on the incident. On March 10th, 2003, the first stop in a world tour was in London. And in opening the show,
they're like the second they left the border.
Exactly. Fuck Donald Trump, fuck Bush, fuck. Yeah.
one foot off the plane, and they're like, I got something to say.
The first. Unbelievable. In London, opening show, they opened the song with Traveling Soldier and mentioned that they did not support the Allied invasion of Iraq and were ashamed that George Bush is from Texas. Interestingly, they didn't know how big a deal that was. They just went on with the show. Nothing was different about anything. And then I think it was like 2 days later, their manager was in their hotel room trying to draft an apology. And that's when it kind of hit them that like, oh shit, something is happening. Thousands.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
It's a really quick. It's a fine line between protesting what you believe in when you are also getting paid by the masses that you've attracted that maybe aren't entirely your demographic. Where do you find your own personal truth, but also get that paycheck? I mean, it's hard to ride that line, and I think maybe they felt like, especially to British audiences, like, you know, they're like, we don't care. You talked about your president. I don't give a shit. Just play your music. Yay.
Right.
So they didn't know because they weren't in an audience of Americans, let alone their own demographic that tends to be conservative, you know, Bible baiting, you know, American flag hugging Americans.
Yeah. Which, so their fan base was so large that I'm not willing to guess that it was even, I think that it was close to probably around 50-50. Like, I think that, and this is a time when things were much less polarized and we weren't picking sides as much. And I was reading a Texas Monthly article and they were talking about how it was interesting because you could go to a concert and you would look out in the sea of women and young girls singing every single lyric. And then you would also see half of the crowd was men dancing in the aisles too. Like, it was just everyone from every angle loved them. And this, they call it the incident. This incident really sectioned off the fan base. It was like this: you draw your line here, and you either love the Chicks and you still don't, or otherwise. And I mean, they still. We're gonna get into that, but like they.
What year was that? Was that 2001?
2003.
2003. So you're thinking 9/11 just happened 2 years ago or a year and a half ago. Yeah. You've got even liberals that are feeling pretty much on board. I mean, not everybody, obviously, and that does not all encompass everybody that wanted to go to war in Iraq. But you had this huge unifying thing that happened in 2001 that a lot of people were like, oh my God, we have to get the guys who did this. And then it really propelled a lot of sentiment in that direction, even though a lot of liberals weren't necessarily on the same page. So I could see, hypothetically, even the Republicans and some big liberals just kind of going with the flow and being like, wait a minute, you hate America? Like, we just got attacked. Like,
right.
Obviously you hate America, because if you're saying that you don't like what George Bush is doing to retaliate against these people who hurt America, then you must hate America. I mean, you know what I'm saying?
Yes, I do. I can't see it in my notes right here. I don't think that I took it out, but I'm going to come back on this, I guess. I'll skip it whenever I do, but that's true. I see it. I remember it a little bit differently, and I was like, I was 10. Yeah, I was 10 in 2003. So, however I remember, it might be way the fuck off base. But the Allied invasion of Iraq, I take different than retaliation for 9/11.
I mean, you're right. I just think the masses
the
then general didn't person didn't get the difference.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so,
but you're right. I mean, you're correct.
There's this interesting thing about Toby Keith, and if I don't remind me, I know it's in my notes, so I'm going to come up on it later. I'm going to get through this so I don't miss anything. At this point, so after they say that, thousands of country radio stations blacklisted the band. They were shunned from the American Country Music Awards and could not find any support from other stars. Oh my God, don't bite me. There's carpenter ants everywhere. couldn't find any support from the big stars within the industry. Maines did, this is Natalie Maines, she did issue an apology saying that she was disrespectful to Bush, but in 2006 rescinded that apology saying that Bush was not deserving of respect. Work.
Oh.
McGuire, one of the original Irwin sisters, said later that year that after they said that, so they're shunned from the ACM, the Country Music Awards, they won 3 Grammys, and she says, we won 3 Grammys against stiffer competition, and that now we consider themselves a part of the larger rock and roll family. So they just kind of were forced out of a genre that kind of wasn't, I mean, they're twangy, and I guess it's country, but I can see it fitting in rock just fine. Rock and roll just fine. I like, it's like Tina Turner.
Yeah.
It's rock. And you could confuse it for soul pop sometimes, but it's more rock. This is just an interesting little tidbit to give us some levity, even though it's not that funny. In 2005, McGuire, Strayer, and Maines, that's the other one's name, Strayer, joined with 31 other recording artists, including Dolly Parton, Christina Aguilera, Yoko Ono, and Mandy Moore, supporting relationships of all kinds, regardless of sexual orientation or gender identity, on a 2-disc release called Love Rocks, with their song from the album Home called I Believe in Love. So, like, even when they're in the fucking shit can from country music industry, they're singing about gay marriage and...
Yeah. I think that's a real beginning too, Kendall, about like singers, not the beginning, but one of the big things that started this revolution of like singers and actors becoming activists. I think it was more like before it was about shut up and just do your job. Like, we don't care.
Yeah.
And remember, there's proof in that even with like gay actors and stuff that had to get married. The studios would give them a wife. They would give them a female.
Yeah.
And say, like, this is going to be your wife now. And they're like, okay, like, it's for my career. Like, it sounds good. So that control and that silencing ending. Because, like, remember, sorry, this just keeps reminding me. So before I forget, Jane Fonda, the actor, she was an activist of the Vietnam War, like a pacifist or like a anti-war thing. And I remember for generations, like, the sentiment toward her and any movie she was in, anything she ever touched, was like, she's a traitor.
Yep.
And it's like,
Hannah Wade.
Okay. And I remember, like, my dad was like totally that sentiment, and I'm like, okay, calm down. Like, I'm not here to be politically swayed by her. Like, that's not what I'm here for. I'm just here to watch 9 to 5 with Dolly Parton.
Movie.
Like,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, like, calm down. Like, everyone will be okay. Lily Tomlin will even it out.
Like, right.
But anyway, I'm like, calm down. But that feeling, that same exact whatever that is definitely what was happening with the Dixie Chicks. There was this, like you say, cancel culture that was like anything they touched was like, don't buy their records, don't go to their concerts, don't listen to what they have to say, because they're not sitting down and singing their songs like we want them to do.
Exactly. It's Laura Ingraham, Shut Up and Dribble, LeBron. It's
exactly right.
Here's the thing is coming up about Toby Keith, which this just really blows my mind and pisses me off. And it's on the same topic. I'm going to have to get through a couple sentences to get to it, though. 3 years later, the Chicks released the single Not Ready to Make Nice. A fabulous song.
Love it. Loved it then, love it now.
Absolutely. Yep. The last time I listened to it, I cried. I think it was just, I was emotional anyway, but that felt so good. Ahead of their upcoming album, they considered the song therapy and felt free to create more music after addressing, quote, the incident. McGuire commented that I'd rather have a smaller following of really cool people who get it, who grow with us as we grow and are fans for life, than people who have us in their 5-disc changer with Reba McEntire and Toby Keith. We don't want those kinds of fans. They limit what you can do. Both Not Ready to Make Nice and the second single, Everybody Knows, were largely ignored by U.S. country radio and failed to penetrate the top 35 of the Hot Country Songs chart. In June 2006, Emily Strayer noted that the lack of support from other country music performers by saying, A lot of artists cashed in on being against what we said or what we stood for because that was promoting their career, which is a horrible thing to do. A lot of pandering started going on, and you'd see soldiers and the American flag in every video. It became a sickening display of ultra-patriotism. Maines commented, the entire country may disagree with me, but I don't understand the necessity for patriotism. Why do you have to be a patriot? About what? This land is our land. Why? You can like where you live and like your life, but as for loving the whole country, I don't see why people care about patriotism. Which, I've said that shit for so long, not knowing that she said that. Like, it's just all starting to make sense. The apology, the recension of the apology, the I don't understand why you people are so mad, and I don't really give a fuck. I would rather have people who like me and my opinions listen to my music than fight with you guys. Son of a bitch, where is it? I want to make sure. Maybe I didn't. There it is. Okay. In 2006, Taking the Long Way was the 9th best-selling album. Did I skip a page? No. Okay. In 2006, Taking the Long Way was the 9th best-selling. This is the one that... So they released Not Ready to Make Nice ahead of the album. And it was the 9th best-selling album in the States. And listen to this shit, won a Grammy for all 5 categories it was nominated in. So, kicked out of American Country Music Award Show. Win 3 Grammys that year, and then 4 years later win 5 in every category that you're nominated in. And this
they're not trying to dominate or tell anybody else that they're wrong. They're just saying there's room for us too, and we're even willing to take a smaller slice of the pie. Right. We just want to be authentic, and this I think that resonated with people. Yeah,
exactly. And they were, and this is kind of what like award shows do, and they like award the person standing on the platform using it, but I don't like that point. I was about to make a point about how it's kind of like a makeup call. Like, oh well, you got kicked out of that. We'll give you points over here so you can tell them where to shove it.
And growing up in Texas, really quick, were you like, did the Confederate flag mean something different growing up? Like, this is our pride, like we're from the South.
No.
It didn't?
No. It did to like dumbasses that lived around me, but like Texas wasn't a part of it. And it's so bizarre. Now, very close, very, very close. And like Texans were involved, but they weren't Texans yet, like not involved in the state.
They wanted to fuck off and start their own country. I remember. They were like, we're not in this. Like, guys, kill each other.
We don't fucking...
We'll take all the land, you guys, and walk over your corpses. We don't care.
Yeah. And like... The culture, like, so like the Pine Curtain, East Texas is the Pine Curtain, and from that line, and like you can literally see it. Like when I would drive from TCU to home in East Texas, you would see it on the road. Like, oh, that's where the pine trees start, and from that line all the way to the east coast of Florida, it's the same. So those trees protect that type of culture, that Southern Dixie. Confederate love and whatever cultures, all in those woods.
I didn't know that. That's good to know.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So like, I mean, yeah, like, was it on like my high school best friend's truck? Absolutely. Did he know why? No. And like, they thought it had something to do with like our heritage, and my grandmother said some stupid shit about it, meaning something about our heritage, and I got in her face about it, and we haven't spoken in 10 years. But when I was passing through Arizona, they had stickers of the Confederate flag for sale there. And I'm like, Texas wasn't even involved. What the fuck are you guys out here doing with that shit? Like, it's gross to me. It's like that country singer that like just got canceled for using a racial slur, and then he had more album sales the next day. I don't know. It's a big problem. Yeah. I didn't do shit like that when I was a kid, but yeah, in the southern states, absolutely, yeah.
Okay, well, that's good to know, just like what the picture was like there, because we didn't really have that very much at all. And if in Michigan, if our friends had that on their car, they'd be known as like the backwater kid or whatever, like the kid from the country,
Right.
versus a
Right.
north and south thing. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Again, it's just lost in translation, and a lot of people put it on their stuff and accept that symbol without really understanding what it means. Or now they do, and they're like, "I disagree," and it's like, well, you can't.
It's like, this is history.
Because
like,
it is a fact.
Yeah, it's factual. Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, that's good to know, and it's an important message that I think the Dixie Chicks needed to say if they were going to take this stand on activism, and I think that's a completely authentic way to say it. We were teenagers, we grew up in the South. This was the cool thing to say. Like, now we understand, we're grown-ass women, we don't like it, we're going to change it because we want to be respectful.
Right. Exactly.
It's fine.
Exactly. It's fine. And like with my new Republican friend, she's like, I just don't like that they changed their name. And I'm like, fuck off. Like, why does it matter? Why? It doesn't matter. You just don't like them because of what they said, and anything they do from this point on, you're just gonna hate. So
yeah,
that's fine.
And they're the artists. They can do whatever they want, and they can call themselves whatever they want. They could be the artist formerly known as Prince if they want to be. Like, anything you want. You are the creator of the art that people are buying, so you can call yourself whatever the fuck you want.
Okay. So, wrapping up, kind of, I'll fly through this. So, that's the history of the Chicks. And I already mentioned this, but I'll just make sure I didn't miss anything. One way I like to think of the incident is really as a birthplace of contemporary cancel culture. I think that it's funny how conservative media blames liberals for creating cancel culture when after the incident, radio shows received death threats and bomb threats from their listeners just for playing the Chicks. Here's the weird thing on Toby Keith. This fucking freaks me out. Toby Keith would sing his song "Courtesy of the Red White," brought to you courtesy of the. I can't do that, but Red White and Blue. And while he was singing that, he would put a picture up behind him on the screen of Natalie Maines hugging a photoshopped image of her hugging Saddam Hussein.
Okay, too far.
Too fucking far.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
it's one thing to disagree with a fellow artist. It's another thing to attack them in that way. That's
actively.
Bullying. If that were high school, you'd be called to the principal's office. Man, grow up.
Grow the fuck up. And it's like polarizing, and it's violent because you're all of these people are already setting fire to the memorabilia and calling in radio stations and threatening to kill them and
agitating.
DJs.
Yep, making it worse, not better.
And this is exactly. The Chicks were canceled by their conservative fans while the rest of the nation applauded and awarded their courage in speaking out against a now, at least I think now, it is popularly ragged on in the misguided war. Online message boards had to be shut down as conservative radio talk show hosts encouraged people to burn and trash their CDs and memorabilia. It's just bizarre to me.
You know who else burned things? The Nazis did. You know who else scratched off the name of any existence? The next pharaoh after murdering the first pharaoh. That's not. There's room for everybody.
It's too far.
There's room for everybody. Calm down. You don't have to agree.
They did it to Nike after the Colin Kaepernick ad, the Black Lives Matter ad. They did it to. I mean, they do it over and over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
And then they scream at us about fucking Dr. Seuss. And I just can't.
Do you think audiences are not biting as much as they used to? Or do you think that it's the same? Do you think that the audiences are evolving in the sense of let them, whatever, it's fine. We don't have to burn their memorabilia or whatever. Or do you think it's the same problem? As intense as it was back then?
Yeah, I do. I think that we just have... You have the majority of artists who don't say one way or another. Mm-hmm. And then the ones that you do say one way or another, you just have a completely consistent type of fan. So if they're pro-conservative, then they're gonna have conservative fans. Mm-hmm. And there won't be any liberals in there, or vice versa. Surprised to see, was it Garth Brooks at the inauguration?
Mm-hmm.
I think it was.
Mm-hmm.
And he was kind of... He was wearing jeans.
Yeah, don't get dressed up, honey. You're
Yeah. And meanwhile, Lady Gaga's being like the most dramatic Broadway theater queen. I love
Yeah.
this country.
Yeah.
Fucking ridiculous.
Interesting though. Interesting. It reminds me. Remember in Veep, the other candidate, that guy that was the vet. He was the veteran, and he kept riding the veteran ticket. Like, I'm a veteran, and like he's like, oh, she's. I forget. There's no direct like joke that I remember, but it's like, oh, guess he's like, watch the interview, and it's like,
Yeah,
he's
yeah.
not gonna get through this interview without mentioning that he's a veteran or an American hero. And it's that same thing about like placating to those audiences and saying like, I'm a hero, I'm a national treasure. It's like Toby Keith is kind of doing the same thing, and a lot of country singers are doing the
Yeah.
same thing. Like,
Yeah.
again, get a beer in my hand, my feet in the sand, ride a horse, and carry the flag.
That was
behind me.
good. Holy shit. Yes, exactly. And like I have said since I was 6, anyone can do it. Anyone. If you want to be a music star, sing country music. It's the easiest thing to sing. It's the easiest thing to sing about.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like beer in my hand, feet in the sand,
Yeah.
my dog in my truck, and whatever.
Ladies,
Right.
tanned, and I don't know, down by the river.
We could do it all day. Now, I think there are some exceptional stars in the industry who are much better than that. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Miranda Lambert fucks me up. I love her.
Mhm.
The Chicks, obviously. Shania Twain, obviously, we've talked about. But, like, I just think it's one of those, like, this is really, I don't want to say dumb. But the majority of male country, I just can't even listen to it because it's all just the same shit.
Yeah, actually, you reminded me. Carrie Underwood had that keying her boyfriend's car and like smashing in his windows. I
That's
don't
right.
think she would have had the comfort to write that song and publish it or produce it, whatever she did, if the Dixie Chicks hadn't already. Now the Chicks had already forged the path for her in this industry.
Right.
How would she have
Yeah.
done with that audience? Because she's a bombshell that everybody's like, she's so hot. I bought all her albums. Like, country girl
Yeah.
singing about country things. It's like, nope, she's going to key your car and murder you. So,
Yeah.
just like the Dixie Chicks.
And Miranda Lambert had that song, Kerosene.
Mm-hmm.
I'm waiting on the sun to say it. Yes, I can't do that. I keep forgetting that I can't do that. But I do love that. So
I keep forgetting that I can't do that. That's me every time I start singing something and try to riff it. No, that's so true. I think maybe the Chicks forged the way for a lot of these women to
I
be
do.
able to sing about real life things. I mean, Dolly Parton certainly did it too, but she was careful.
Yeah.
She was fucking careful.
She was. She really was.
And she even fit in well because even though she had some controversial stuff, she still was like a Barbie, and I always wear my heels and I make breakfast for my husband. Like,
Right.
there was still that balance
Right.
where I think it was like, wait, Dolly, what are you saying here? And she's like, no, just kidding. I'm a country lady and I just want to.
Exactly. She does that.
Mm-hmm. She does. She rides
so
that
right.
line brilliantly,
Still today.
if I'm honest. Brilliantly. Yeah,
Yeah.
she does. She says she never takes off her heels.
I believe her. I think that she wakes up and, like, she did a thing with RuPaul.
I was
and she
just going to
like,
say that. The interview with RuPaul, where he was so
Did
rude.
you hear what she said there?
He was so sassy to her. And I was like, okay, a little bit. You deserve that, RuPaul. I mean, he can take it. She can take it. But, like, no.
I didn't see it, but I just heard the opposite. I just heard that Dolly said something real, like, shitty
She
to
was
Ru, but I live for
bitchy.
that.
Because she said
Good.
something about her heels and her wigs and stuff, and she's like, you take off your wigs. Like, I wear them all the time. This is who I am.
Right.
Like, that's the difference. And something.
She was like, I would never walk out of the house looking like that.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. And makeup, like talking about makeup. Yeah, you should watch that interview because it's pretty funny.
Yeah.
After I saw it, I was like, damn, Kitty's got claws. Who knew?
At 80, whatever the fuck she is.
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
Still in it. That's basically what I have. I've got some fast facts, but I kind of already mentioned all these things so far, but here it's just 3. The Chicks have a total of 13 Grammys so far.
Damn.
They have sold over $100 million in concert tickets also so far. And my third one is gone. So I wrote this to end. I found this in Texas Monthly, I like this description of them by John Spong of Texas Monthly. He says that their allure is this, and I think he really nails it. And then I'm going to add something to the end of it, so it's not plagiarizing. The thing nobody remembers about the Dixie Chicks is how much fun they were. But back when the 90s were winding down, when the Chicks were making the leap from hot-selling country act to objects of a national crush, the only thing they appeared to take seriously was their music. They were ubiquitous then, a brassy girl group that could outplay, outsing, and outband any band in Nashville with runway model looks and a refreshing, genuine manner. Their image was equal parts strong-willed big sister, freewheeling college dorm mate, and potty-mouthed flirty girl at the end of the bar. And that combination drew fans of both sexes and all ages, and then soaked up more listeners from outside the genre. Their appeal was infectious. And to add to that, I say that all of those things mixed with their defiant nature, the power of the protest, and the way that they actually and fearlessly use their platform, something that is so rare. For me, this is why they're my all-time fave.
Wow. They're brave, and I say that not in a patronizing way. If we were shopping for friends, like if we were at the bar and we were looking for people to hang out with, we would be gravitated toward people like that immediately, I think.
Exactly.
Like you and I both, and obviously so many other people, because they're still around, and like there are people who are still loyal and whatever. If people want to boycott something because they don't agree with their politics or their opinions or whatever, fine. I mean, like do you live your best life? Who cares? I'm not going to stop listening. Just like I'm not going to stop listening to songs that I enjoy because I don't like what the person is or who he or she was, because I'm able to separate those things. Now, be careful, like when you're buying their albums and funding them and stuff, but
exactly. Get it illegally if it's bad.
That's right. If they're bad people, then pirate it. That's our official statement. Just pirate it.
So speaking of which, I did that I didn't pirate it, but I watched somebody pirate it. That fight. Did you watch that fight?
Oh yeah, I saw I know exactly what you're talking about. I can see the ad at the top of my
Mayweather.
TV. Yep.
Logan Paul.
Yeah. Well, that's like $60.
Oh my God, insane. And then no winner, and nothing happened. I watched this guy. All he did was he like put it on his TikTok live, and he reversed it, so he wasn't technically, And he was so fucking stoned, and it was glorious, so fun. I don't know how we got there. I'm sorry.
Good on principle that you didn't pay for it.
Right, that's how we got there. Yeah. And that day I also bought 3 Old Chicks albums, so royalties. Yeah.
Support the people you agree with. Don't support the people you don't.
And steal
but,
from
still
everyone else.
Listen or watch their shit. Anyway. That's that on that. Thanks.
That should be the show. That's that on that. We're going to have a second show. Hot takes. That's that on that.
Yeah. Cool. Well, thank you. I learned a lot, honey. This was a good one. And everybody needs to be reminded of the Chicks and go listen to their music. And then like, especially their old stuff, certainly, but listen to their new stuff too. And if you like it, then support them. Like just support them by listening to them. Because it's all right. It's all right to have an eclectic taste. It's all right to like things that are contradictory to other things. Like you're allowed to enjoy what they're creating. They're artists making art, and you don't have to stand up with their politics, or you can and really support them. It's up to you. That's right. Just fucking enjoy and calm down.
Calm the fuck down. And it's good music.
It is good music. It's very good. They know what they're doing.
What's your if first song that whenever they come up, what's the first song you think of? Cowboy Take Me Away.
Well, when you said it was Cowboy Take Me Away, but I'd say the next one that pops right into my head instantaneously is Wide Open Spaces.
Spaces, yeah.
But yeah, also really
so good.
Yeah.
Praise the Lord and Pass the Ammunition. One of my favorite lyrics. Sin Wagon. Oh, Ready to Run. Ready to Run.
Oh, yep. That's a great one.
I mean, great one. We're just gonna make you a playlist, and
we'll make you a mixtape. Also, Kendall is living half of their songs. He has run away,
and I'm not ready to make nice.
And he's not ready to make nice. There's no Earl yet, but to be determined. He's out in the countryside.
Yeah, there's 3 Earls. You just don't know them.
Yeah, that's right. All right. Well, listen, follow us on Facebook, please. Rate us, please. Keep listening. And that's it for this episode. Kendall, is that, did I sum it up okay?
That's it.
All right.
Yeah, perfect.
Let's do it. 3, 2, 1.
Bye.